So it's been quite a while since I actually done a video, and the reason why was because I just took that off. Essentially, didn't want to do anything. Didn't have much going on, to be completely honest with you. Right now, I find myself in Poland, Warsaw. I'm gonna stay here for a couple of weeks. Extremely nice city. Might consider moving here for 6 months of the year, 6 months Thailand. Let's see about that. But yeah, today I wanna kind of open up a little bit and explain what has been for me the process to get to this point, which is not by any means like crazy whatsoever, because I'm not doing anything sure, but I'm being pretty comfortable life, can do essentially what I want. Luckily, I don't have any money problem at the moment. I can travel everywhere I want. I can do everything I want. I'm meeting people on a daily basis, which is extremely nice. And yeah, running my business online, which is pretty much essentially what I feel like 90% of the people want to do now around my age. So yeah, I thought it would be pretty nice to just open a little bit up and explain how my journey has been, because probably was a little bit more different than majority of people, if I have to be completely honest. And as you can see on the picture here, yeah, my journey has been quite fast, in the sense that I nearly died 3 years ago. I could have been dead. And now I find myself actually traveling everywhere I want. I'm gonna go to Thailand in a bit, stay there for only some 6 months. And yeah, life lately has been very, very good for me. I cannot really complain. So I just want to go through essentially what happened to me, what was probably also the thing that kind of made me click, because I'm gonna be completely honest. If that, like, let's call it accident, wouldn't have happened, I'm not sure if I would have taken the same route. I like to think yes, I like to think that everything would have been essentially like this or even better. But I don't know, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, without further ado, let's actually dive a little bit in about what happened to me and how I essentially went from like this fucking monster right here that you can see with one blow eye to this magical human being that you can see in the picture. And by the way, this picture is not even 3 years, it's more like 1 year and a half or even less. So yeah, as I say, it's been pretty quickly. So let me put myself a little bit smaller. So in less than 2 years, essentially, I was able to scale my business in 10K a month, started reading my first book, which, fun enough, as you will probably see in this video, yeah, I never started reading a book, and the second I started reading a book was when actually the accident happened, which, by the way, left me blind from one eye, but I'm going to discuss this later. So pretty funny. I traveled a total of 20 countries. I moved to Thailand, started doing Muay Thai. For the first time, I never did any type of boxing. I've always been like a gym guy, but I have to consider that, yeah, Muay Thai or fighting in general, it's quite essential, if to be honest with myself. It's extremely good. And then I coached 30 plus people about doing what I do, which is essentially running Facebook ads for other companies. And then I became totally independent, in the sense that, yeah, I move out from my parents' place. I can travel where I want, I can do what I want, as I say. So I'm, yeah, completely independent from that standpoint. So life kind of hit me out of the blue. And yeah, this was me on May 23, 2021. So a little bit more than 2 years ago at this point. And I became blind from my right eye, essentially. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty fucking obvious. As you can see the picture here, I was completely blown away. So, I mean, quite understandable. And yeah, and on top of that, half of my face was severely damaged. So as you can see in the picture, the right side of my face was completely like blown out. It was triple the fucking size of the left side. Like, just look at this, right? Just look at fucking this. I have chills just by looking at that. It's awful. It was very, very awful. And all this happened because I simply were in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I don't want to go too much in details about that, because it's still a pretty fresh thing for me. Even though it's been 3 years, I don't really like to think about it, to be honest. I get a little bit emotional. But essentially what's happened was that I was walking in the streets with some friends, and a bunch of immigrants, of course, attack us. And I was in this little city, it's called Peschiera del Garda, it's in Italy. I'm Italian for those who don't know. So I was there with my friends, yeah, we were just walking around. And a bunch of like Albanian, Romanian, and I don't even know what the fuck, just started attacking us for fucking no reason, futile reasons. And yeah, my friends, the one that were true with me, they kind of bitch out a little bit. They really bitch out. Actually, fuck, I'm just gonna tell the whole story at this point. So essentially what's happened was that I was with one of my friends, okay, my best friend, which by the way is the one that is supposed to come with me to Thailand in a month from now, so it's gonna be very, very nice. And yeah, we were walking in Peschiera di Garda, we had this little city in Italy, and we were about to meet up with these other two friends of us. And so yeah, we started going to the city, we met up with those friends, and then we just started walking. After a while we were walking in the main square of the city, those people, those 8 or 9 people, I don't remember how many they were, they started attacking us. And they essentially made this to me, right? Because I was not expecting that, like, at all. They kind of took me out of nowhere. And just afterwards, I found out the reason. And so the reason was that this friend of mine, which is not a friend of mine, of course, for obvious reason, 10 minutes before we actually met, he started kind of beefing around with one of these guys who was by himself at that point. And so this friend of mine has always been like a fucking dickhead. I'm not gonna filter myself. It's been a dickhead. It was completely stupid. Always been the guy that's very short and somehow is very fucking aggressive for no reason. He's not even huge, you know, he has no fighting skills, so he's just aggressive, probably for his own ego. And yeah, he was walking essentially in the city, which was pretty busy because it was May 2023, and that city is like a summer touristic type of city, so you know, it's pretty busy during summer. And yeah, he was walking and he just like hit the shoulder, you know, like, but while you're walking, the guy was walking in the other direction, just like tap the shoulder. And the things could have finished there, but no, that fucking guy had to start essentially beef around, right? So they have to beef around. I don't know what they say to each other, whatever. I think it just lasts like for 5 minutes or so, and then he kind of died there. At least that's what he thought as well. And so then we meet, and he didn't tell me any of this, right? So I was completely unaware about that. So then we met, and after 10 minutes they were walking again, this guy come back with like 7 or 8 friends. And in mind, I didn't know anything. So those guys start like screaming towards us, but I don't even know if he was towards us because we were in this main square, there are a lot of people. So I just turned around, yeah? I turned around and I saw those guys, and I waited there like extremely calmly because again, I didn't know it. They were actually picking on us. I thought they were picking on something or something maybe happened. So I just went there and said, yo, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Why are you guys screaming? And I remember I have like 3 or 4 people in front of me. And like, I'm pretty tall, okay? I'm like 185, 186. Those people were definitely shorter than me. So I was not really scared about that, but there were 4 just in front of me. And so I went there pretty confidently. And probably that was something that, you know, looking back right now, I should not have done it. But at the same time, I know for a fact that I was not expecting that. Like, I didn't know that they were actually picking on us. I was not expecting to be punched in the face, which is exactly what happened after literally like 3 to 5 seconds that I was picking one of this guy. And the thing is that this guy had some sort of like belt or something with like some metal on that. And so when he hit me in the face over here, it destroyed my my cheek, I think it's called. I don't know, this side essentially the face, right? So he punched me, one punch. I was still standing though, so I just pushed him out. But what happens is that the second I pushed the guy out, because I want, of course, to go after him, right? I wanted to also punch him. 2 of the other guys, or 3, they already were behind me, and they started hitting me on the back of my head. And the second both of them hit me in the back of my head, I fainted, just like that. Boom, shut down, KO. You know, like you see in fucking, like in how's it called, UFC, right? Just like fainted, boom, kaput, blackout. And it didn't finish there, because when I actually fainted, I got told that they keep eating me. They keep like kicking my face, my body, even though I was completely dead on the ground essentially. And that's the result, as you can see. There is actually a video, because again they did it on a Maze Square, and so the camera recorded everything, luckily, because then we were able to charge them and everything. But yeah, it was awful, man. Like imagine eating someone on the ground. Like how you must be such a failure in life. Like I'm sure those guys are gonna accomplish nothing in their life. They're probably gonna work in some fucking fabric for like 3 euros per hour if they're lucky. You know, they're gonna absolutely do nothing in their life. They're gonna be absolutely meaningless. And so that's like a nice revenge, you know, because they know they are extremely ignorant and not gonna do anything with their life. But still, imagine how disgusted and not even stupid. Stupid is not the right term. Like, yeah, just like fucking ignorant you have to be to really eat someone that was already on the ground, right? And so that's what they did, and they essentially end up breaking my whole face. And so you cannot probably see, but I have a scar here, and I have another scar underneath my lip that goes throughout my whole mouth, essentially from like the right side of my lip to like the very end of my mouth. And yeah, I was my school was completely broken, so they had to, of course, make a surgery. And unfortunately, even though the surgery succeeded, as you can see, because they rebuilt pretty well, my nose was broken, my teeth were broken, this whole side of the face was broken, which is why over here it's all titanium, I think it's called, metal essentially. I don't have bones, I have metal. It's all metal. Also underneath my eye here, I have some sort of like plastic little, I don't know how to call it, like it's like a stick essentially, which is a little bit flexible. They kind of keep my eye up, otherwise my eye will literally fall down. Will literally fall fucking down. And yeah, unfortunately, even though the operation succeeded, I ended up being blind from my right eye. To this day, I cannot see from my right eye. I can see a little bit. I'm not completely blind, but what happened, what the doctor told me essentially, is that I got very unlucky because when they hit me from the back, the compression of the punch with my eye essentially creates some sort of like, yeah, compression with the blood, and the blood found its way out through my pupil. And so essentially you have to imagine the eye, right? And then the blood coming from within the eye that just like push out. And so this essentially opened up my pupil exactly in the middle. They literally told me, the doctor, that if it was just a little bit more on the left or a little bit more on the right, like millimeters wise, like 2 or 3 millimeters, I would be fine. But unfortunately, up directly in the middle of my eye, which caused me to be mostly blind, which is why right now if I close my good eye, which is my left one, and I look with the right one, I cannot really read the words on my screen. I can see a little bit the figures, I can kind of understand where I am, but I cannot read the words on my computer. I cannot see myself in the little corner right here. Essentially, I'm blind in the middle. I just see a little bit on the side of the head, of the eye, sorry. And so my whole world essentially collapsed in a matter of hours. Like I went out, imagine this, you went out with friends, and after 2 hours, you wake up surrounded by police and like doctors, and you find out your way with the ambulance to the hospital, and I didn't even remember what happened. I had like amnesia, I think it's called. I didn't know where I was, what happened, my name. I didn't know anything. And then slowly everything started coming back. And then I remember, at the very moment, I felt calm, because luckily I'm a person that has a lot of discipline. So I don't tend to panic whatsoever, doesn't matter the situation. And so I was very calm, regardless of everything. However, the second, even because I didn't know back then that I was blind, right? Like I just thought, okay, I got punched, whatever. My swollen his face, my broke something, my nose, probably gonna get some surgery. I'm gonna come back normal, right? That's what was going on in my head. I didn't know that within the next 24 hours they would have told me, hey, you're blind, right? Unfortunately. And still, I was very disciplined. I didn't cry, didn't do anything, but yeah, it's just everything fucking collapsed for me to some extent. And again, the bad news arrived really later when the doctor told me, hey, by the way, you are blind. And so once they told me that, I remember that's where I really broke down. I started crying a lot. I really started wondering why me. You know, like in those situations, you always wonder why me. Why me? Like I've been nice. I've been like, you know, everything. Why me? I don't understand why me. Let me just close actually my phone because people are calling me and we don't want that. So I started wondering why me, and yeah, I could not find an answer. I was like, holy fuck, like this is really happening to me. Like I'm gonna be blind for my whole life for fucking no reason, because that's the thing. There was no reason to be blind. Like I didn't do anything to deserve that. So I was like, why me? Why me? You know, like I remember when I was in school, once this guy came with the wheelchair, and he told us that the reason why I went to a wheelchair was because he was with a motorcycle and he did an accident because he was actually speeding, so it was kind of his fault to some extent, and then that caused him to be disabled for life. Now he's in a wheelchair, he cannot walk again. And I remember thinking, wow, that fucking sucks. That absolutely sucks. It must be so negative. But in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, that cannot happen to me though. Like, you know, it's one of those things that you always see, right? Like in a movie, or you see, I don't know, in TV, or like maybe a friend of a friend, right? That someone get disabled, up in this and that, and you say, oh, that's horrible. But, you know, like you never really think that can happen to you. You always think, yeah, it's gonna happen to someone else, but not me, right? Not me. But it happened to me. And so I remember the very first thing that I did is asking myself, why this? Why to me? And, you know, at least like in my mind back then, I could link the fact that the guy was speeding and that's why he got an accident, and that caused him to be paraplegic, that caused him to be disabled. But he has some sort of like, you know, reason behind that. Okay, well, he's speeding, it was his fault, whatever, he got disabled, right? On me though, I didn't have any fault, so I was like, why is it happening to me? I have no fault. Which is stupid now if you think about it, because there are kids that die for no reason. There are people that just walk down the street, maybe a brick just hit them in the head, boom, they died, right? Like life sometimes doesn't have a reason. It just happens, just random. I would actually argue that like 99% of the things that happen in life just happen. No reason, they just happen. What you can control is probably the outcome, which is what I'm probably going to speak about that later. But yeah, once the doctor actually told me that I was blind from one eye, and there was nothing really to do. Like there were not technology available to fix it. There was nothing, not like any treatment that I could do. I lost it over there. I remember like all my discipline, all my composure and everything, it just like broke down. I was next to my mom, I remember, in the hospital after 24 hours that was there, no sleeping, nothing, and I started crying so much. And I remember the doctor around that time also told me that I still got lucky, because if they would have given me a few more kicks in the head, a few more punches, I could have either lose the ability to walk or die. They told me that I could have easily died if he would keep hitting my head. I have like some sort of like, I don't know, brain damage or something. Like I could have easily died. And so right after they told me these, of course, the very next thing to do was surgery to fix my face, right? Because, okay, the eye is fucked, I need to do surgery. I actually ended up changing hospital for like different reason, which I'm not going to tell about. But yeah, I just went to another hospital the day after, essentially, and they told me the same thing. And yeah, now it was about time to actually make the surgery. And so this was during the COVID pandemic, okay? Keep in mind. So I remember I was in the hospital and no one could come visit me. No one. It was not allowed because of the COVID rules to visit anyone in the hospital. And so I stayed in the hospital for 1 month. And this 1 month I lost 15 kilos. I want you to imagine to stay in a room that is like probably 5 meters by 5 for 1 month. You cannot go out. And you have no one to speak to, essentially. Because no one could come visit. Not my family, just a nurse, maybe 3 times per day. Just to check my pressure, maybe give me some medicine, whatever. That was about it. That was the only people that I could speak to, nurse, for 1 month. So I ended up losing 15 kilos in that bed because I could barely move, could do nothing, of course. And then the food from like the hospital is not like very anabolic, right? It's not that we're eating red meat with protein powder and like not really. It's just like smashed potato and maybe some like fucking yogurt as a dessert, and have this for lunch, have this for dinner, bye-bye, goodbye. It's like maybe 1,000 calories a day, nothing, right? So I lost 15 kilos, and I remember I started getting pretty depressed. I have to be completely honest with you. When I was actually in the hospital, I was still keeping it because in that specific moment, the way I felt was like a movie. It felt like it was not real. It felt like, okay, I'm in this situation, I'm blind, my skull is half broken, my face is damaged and everything, but the second I'm gonna get out from the hospital, it's gonna be fine, right? I kind of convinced myself, probably as a self-protection of some sort, that the second I will have walk away from the hospital and come back to my home, everything will be normal, everything will be fine. And that kind of kept me going. I remember I was definitely not happy, but it was not like that sad, when I was still in the hospital. So my brain kind of tricked me in that way in order to keep me going, I guess, because otherwise I would have just lost it. And the real drama started when I came back home. I remember the first day I came back home, I started crying a lot. And everything again just like collapsed, because now I was out from the hospital and everything was still the way it was. So now it just turned out to be real, whereas before my mind was kind of tripping, okay, this is just like a dream, this is not real. Now I'm in my house, in my room, and I'm still blind. And my face, back then especially was not like the way it is right now. Back then you could tell like my face was not symmetrical, was definitely not nice to see. You could tell something was wrong. And I absolutely collapsed. Like I start breaking down extremely bad. And I didn't want to go out because I felt in one way scared, because that was traumatic. Like, holy fuck, like if this just happened randomly, this can happen again, right? But even more than that, probably, I felt like I was extremely ugly. I look at myself in the mirror every day, I remember, and crying because I hate what I see. I was like, I don't want to be like this. This is not me. Imagine you look yourself in the mirror every day and you see another person. You don't see yourself, because it didn't look like that. That was not me. I remember I was literally putting my hand like halfway in, halfway out to see the difference. Like, okay, this is me. This is not me. This is me. This is not me. And for days and weeks, I kept doing that, and I absolutely hated the way I look. Absolutely hated the fact that I was blind. Absolutely everything. And I start looking into the past and the future and losing the present moment. And what I mean by that is that, when things like this happen, the very first thing you do is, of course, you ask why me, right? You ask why me, why this happened, and then you go to what I call the next phase, which is comparing yourself before and compare yourself now or in the future. So I was essentially spending my whole day thinking about the past, thinking about, oh my god, everything was amazing for me. I have two eyes, this and that. And look at me right now. I'm comparing myself in the past to what I was now. And so, of course, it was creating a lacking in the sense that, I cannot see anymore from one eye, and yeah, life is not good as it used to be. And so I thought that just made me depressed, essentially, because I was lacking something. I was lacking my old life. I was missing that. And I also felt angry, very, very angry. I wanted revenge. I remember, I don't want to say like out loud, but I wanted revenge for what happened to me. And I started also hating on everyone. I was mad with everyone for no reason, actually. Probably because I was mad with myself. I just was mad in general. And I was very, very depressed. There's been multiple times in which I really thought about killing myself because I didn't want to live like that. I didn't want to be blind forever from one eye. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to kill myself. And yeah, many, many times. For weeks, probably months, before I actually start dropping out that specific thinking. And I was lost. I didn't know what to do, right? I really didn't know what to do because, again, my mind was constantly going back there and then comparing myself now. And that was completely destroying me to see myself the way I was for no reason whatsoever. And I couldn't do nothing about that. Like, I could not change. I could not do something. I could do absolutely nothing. I was harmless. I just have to accept the situation. And that's probably also how I actually saved myself, was by accepting the situation. And so I decided to switch my attention to the other side. And so in life, there is always two polarities, black and white, good or bad, cold and warm, right? There are always two sides. There are always sides in which you decide which one actually deserves your attention. And I simply decided to switch side. And so rather than actually sitting on and constantly thinking about what I used to be and what I am now, and of course this was creating depressive thoughts in my head that was making me sad, I decided to accept the situation. And that was probably the best decision I could possibly do. I decided to sit for 1 second and say, okay, Gilberto, you can keep crying, keep being mad, keep being sad, everything you want about what's happened. And you can complain that you're now blind and this and that, and you're not like you used to be before. Or you can be a man and you can actually accept the situation and say, okay, I'm Gilberto, I'm blind from one eye. This is the starting point. This is the new starting point, right? And we have to move forward from that. So that's what I did. I said with myself, I said, okay, I am blind. This is my starting point. I cannot change it. So what's the best move that I can do moving forward? Because I can clearly not make myself see again from the other eye. Okay, that's stupid. So for me to constantly going back there when I had to hide and then see, it's useless. It's not me anymore. I cannot go back there. So you have to look at the present moment, see how it is, and say, okay, what's the best possible decision I can make right now to make my life a little bit better? And I say, okay, probably is starting going out again, socialize. And that's what I did. What's the second best possible decision you can do? Start going back to the gym. The third possible best decision, start reading books, maybe. Start speaking with girls. And also a good one, because I felt very ugly. So gain my confidence back. And so I decided essentially to simply move forward. Almost behave like what happened never happened, and I always was like that. I always been the guy with one eye, so that's my starting point, so that's how we're gonna move forward. I had to kind of delete my previous past in the sort of sense. I can no longer really look at that as the true I guys. If I look at the past, it's just because of experience, but I'm looking as like, I could see from true eyes, blah, blah, blah. I kind of skip that part, because if I will do that, that would cause me still to be sad for obvious reason. And everything started going pretty well for me. I really had a nice summer. One of the best summer probably of my life, with my friends and everything, happened during that year, which is insane. I also started getting more girls' attention than what I used to be, even despite being like 15 kilos lighter, despite being felt ugly and everything, simply because I probably changed my mind. I changed my reality, because reality is subjective, right? You're probably all aware of like this little icon that I have on this little image 6 and 9, right? They're both true. They're both absolutely true. But reality is subjective. It's not objective. And so it doesn't matter what is true, but what you think is true, because that will be your reality. And this is 100% the case. If you believe you're ugly and your mental image is of someone that is ugly, you're going to be ugly. If you believe you are attractive and your mental image is someone that is attractive as little girls, I can guarantee you're going to get girls. You're going to feel confident. People are going to treat you differently. Maybe you're not that attractive, but the simple thing that you think your reality is like that is going to make a massive difference. Whatever you think is true is true. Doesn't matter what it is. If you think one thing is true, it's true. Period. If you think you are smart, you are going to behave as a smart person. If you think you're stupid, you're going to behave as a stupid person, which is why so many people fail in life for this simple reason. They say, why am I failing? It's because your mental image is completely fucked. You don't have a clear mental image. You don't see yourself as a winner. You don't see yourself successful. You don't see yourself with a nice body. You don't see yourself winning with girls. You don't see yourself having a lot of money. You don't see yourself in a positive way. And this is causing you to lose a life. It's pretty simple to me. And I got this by reading a book which is called Psycho-Cybernetics, which is probably my favorite book. It's an amazing book. Amazing book. I suggest anyone to read it. It will change your life. Hopefully, like it did with mine. So now I really came to a point in which I'm actually believing the blessing, because for what it happened, I was then able to build everything else. I was able to scale my business to 10K a month. I was able to grow as a person. I was able to travel the world. I was able to meet amazing people. I was able to do a lot of stuff. And now I'm into a point where I can do what I want. I can work when I want, and I'm free, essentially. And all that came from being able to see to the other side. All that came really to stop looking in the past, starting accepting the present, and build my future. Because so many people are not getting what they want simply because their reality, their perspective is completely broken. I can guarantee you that you can take another person that maybe has gone through similar things like I did, or maybe even the same. Let's pretend like an exact clone of mine, okay? You take me, you clone someone else, same experience, you also go blind, everything. The same person with the same experience and the same knowledge, if they decide that their life now sucks because they're blind and everything is lost and no one wants them and they're ugly and this and that, if they decide that, then their life is ruined. Even though they have the same experience as me, same background, their life will be ruined simply because they decide that's the reality. And that's the beauty about understanding how the mind works, is that you can shape your reality. You can craft it on a daily basis based on your beliefs. Because if you believe you will achieve X and you're 100% sure you will achieve X, you will achieve X. I was 100% sure that my life will be better. The second I decided to accept the moment, I said, okay, I'm blind. So what? I'm still going to crush everyone. I'm going to have the best life I can possibly can. I'm going to do everything I want. I'm going to work. I'm going to travel. I'm going to do anything I want. And I did. I did it because I decided that was my reality. I written my own book. I decide how the story goes. The fact that I'm blind doesn't stop me. Why should it stop me? Not gonna stop me. Maybe you want to stop someone else because they decided now the life sucks. They decide, oh, I'm blind, I'm depressed, no one's wants me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's your reality. Some people decide that even because their nose is not good, they say, oh, my nose is so bad and that's why people don't hire me. Or because of my skin color, oh, I'm black, I'm white, I'm Asian, and that's why people don't hire me. No, it's not because of that. It's because you think that's your reality. If you think that people are not going to hire you because you have a bad nose or because you're black or Asian or white or whatever, it's because you think that. Not because that's reality. It's because you think that's reality. And because of that, that is going to become your reality. Because that's your mental image. It sounds so simple, but it's so true. That's how I was able to change my life. And again, it's not that now I'm like some crazy millionaires living like in, you know, like private island or anything, but I find myself in a pretty good, comfortable situation. I don't have to worry about money because I know they will come. Even when everything seems to be against that, even when like the market is down and everything, I know that I will still make money because that's my mental belief. I know that I will make money. I have faith that I will make money. And I'm so sure about that. Nothing can tweak my belief. That's the thing. That's like how you really get things is by first imagining what you want and then have a strong belief that it will happen. No doubt. Like I don't have doubt. I know my life will be amazing. I know I will find a perfect wife. I know I will make money. I know everything. Doesn't matter. That's my personal belief. And now in October, I will be moving again to Thailand for the next 3 to 6 months with my best friend, and where we shoot more content. And we're gonna do I'm gonna do crazy stuff. I'm actually gonna teach my best friend how to create his own business online. So probably I'm gonna make like some sort of like mini videos around that, how he is actually like the baby steps, because he knows absolutely nothing about business. He doesn't even speak English that well, to be completely honest with you. He's from Italy, like me, and like many Italian people, we don't really speak English, unfortunately. Italian are not very English friendly, so it's gonna be fun. He has to learn English, he has to learn the base of marketing, he has to learn everything. So I just told him, hey, just quit your job, come to me to Thailand, and we're gonna have a lot of fun over there. He has like a few money on the side that is gonna cover everything for the next 6 months at least. So yeah, I'm sure he's gonna crush it because I'm gonna teach him the same principle, which is why actually I gave him the same books that I actually have here as well. I told him, listen, start by reading those books because those books are gonna change your life. And for those who know, of you who actually want to know what books, I strongly suggest anything really with Bob Proctor. There is a very nice book which is called You Were Born Rich, but also Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life is a great one. And Psycho-Cybernetics, another great one, another absolutely great one. And for those of you who actually maybe are struggling like me back then about, like something pretty bad happened to your life or you think your life sucks, then I suggest reading the book Power of Now, which is another great, great book. It was suggested by my friend Adam when I was in the hospital. That's when I started reading that, and that's where it really made the shift. I was like, okay, well, I need to shift, right? My thinking, my reality. So I hope, boys, this video was helpful. I know it was super long. I'm not sure if I would ever make longer video than this, but there was a little bit more about my background, about who I am, what I did, and what was my story. And I kind of hope that this gives a little bit of hope for some of you, right? Because if a blind guy from Italy made it, you can probably do it too, right? Like, I'm pretty confident you can probably do it too. So this being said, hope you're gonna enjoy the video and see you next one. Bye bye.